Hi Pisces, welcome back to my channel. This can be about your love connection, your relationship, your marriage, or even if it almost worked out here, Pisces. This will be a 3-card spread having a look to see if someone is regretting something about you and your connection and of course your relationship. So this reading can be for Pisces, Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus. It's nothing too in-depth. It'll only be a 3-card spread, but hopefully it'll give you some sort of insight into what someone might be regretting around you. And like I mentioned, it could be an ex, someone you were previously involved with. Okay, so let's have a look and see what's coming up in the cards. Pisces, what do they regret? Okay, last card. Okay, you've got the Four of Swords. Now, the Four of Swords is a card of withdrawal, of retreat. Retreating. So it's all about the mental. I feel like there's something here about someone that didn't say something to you. They didn't tell you something. And I say that because you can see this figure here, and he almost hangs his head, and he's got the sword in the ground. And there's remnants, there's swords that clearly have been, you can see they're in the snow here, footprints in the snow or left their mark on the snow, but clearly these swords have been taken, okay, these swords have been removed. Swords in the tarot world do represent communication and attitude and mentality, and I feel like with the swords being picked up here, and the symbolism of the card in general, Pisces, can indicate that someone is regretting not telling you how they feel or not saying something in the present moment. Because it's like this sword is finally in the ground here, Pisces. So this person is finally, they know what they want to say now, but it's too late, okay? Someone's picked up the swords and moved on, so I don't know if this is you that has moved on. It might be someone under the sign of an air sign, or it's something to do with communication, okay? And I do feel like with the Four of Swords, it can be a card of meditation, reflection, and I feel like there's someone here that's still potentially thinking about, it's more about what they didn't say rather than what they did say. So it's more about something that someone wanted to reveal to you or communicate to you, but they didn't do it. You can see this figure on the top of a mountain here. The stars are out, so there's a lot of solitude around him. Okay, so I think it's someone you haven't been in contact with for quite some time. And I also feel like this is further reiterated by the Fool card. You can see the pelican that's found this lonely stump with a buoy here. And I think in a way it's telling me that it's someone who has isolated themselves from you. But I feel like it's someone that's regretting having isolated their communication from you. You might have asked what they were feeling, what's going on, but it's the fact that they didn't act on their words. They didn't communicate. And I feel like they're regretting that. It could also be like they're regretting isolating themselves. You know, this figure here has staked his sword in the mountaintop here, and there's no one else around. So it's someone who has mentally isolated themselves, or they regret mentally isolating themselves from you. So there's regret or remorse for these sorts of things. And again, I point to that the pelican here. The moon, I don't know if this is a Cancer or there's Cancer energy. It could point to someone you're still attached to, or someone who's still, I think it's more about them, so I think they're still attached to you, Pisces. But with the Fool card, it might have been that they did something that was humiliating, or they feel foolish about not having expressed themselves. They feel like they have isolated you, or they feel like they instigated that isolation, and there is regret. You know, the pelican looks for land, looks for a secure base where he can rest outside of seas and oceans. And in a way, it could be that this person is trying to still find themselves, or they regret not having found themselves or not knowing who they were when they were with you. And I think this speaks more of an internal journey. You know, the bird takes flight. the bird can also be a symbolism here of a message. And for a lot of you, it could be that this person regrets not sending you a message, or not being clear in a message, or not even responding. So for those of you that have tried to reach out to someone and they've hung up on you, or they haven't messaged you back, or they've checked their WhatsApp and they've been online, or they've checked their Facebook Messenger or Instagram, and I think for a lot of you, you might have been left on read or seen, or those 2 blue ticks on WhatsApp. But I feel like there's someone here who's regretting not sending a message. The bird is an intermediary, it's a messenger. And if there's regret coming from this person, then it's their decision to isolate themselves. Foolish behavior, the Fool is often seen as an Aries as well. So it could be an Aries feeling this way. But Aries energy is hot-headed and impulsive. So it could also be that someone was too impulsive or hot-headed, and they're really regretting that decision now, Pisces. But I come back to the symbolism of the Fool. I mean, this pelican looks lost. It's dark. The water is choppy. He's found this stump and it's his last resort. So I feel like there's someone, and what I associate that with is desperation. This is fairly a new deck and I'm still getting to know this deck, Pisces, so you'll have to bear with me. But I think in a way, the way I interpret it is clinging on to something here. And I feel like there's a person that's still attached or still clinging, but the whether or not they express that is a different story. I mean, the Queen of Swords has come up, and I feel like time, isolation, or being alone has given them hope, or it's given them time to think about what they want to say to you. And the Queen of Swords can indicate a very important message. You can see this figure here, and she's got the big bird. Okay, so the big bird, a big message or a revelation of some kind that someone has finally acknowledged, but it's come after a time of not being in contact with you. It's come after a time of isolation, humiliation, or a time of someone's ended communication with you and then they're regretting that. But I think with the Queen of Swords, it can definitely address major topics or things that this person has thought about or wanted to communicate. As the Queen of Swords is sensitive topics, it's hot topics, but it's something about communication. It might have been that was their biggest problem. Maybe you blocked them, Pisces. Maybe you moved away. But I feel like there's something about communication that they're regretting. Or, I mean, you can see that she holds the rope and his beak is tied shut. And I don't know if this is you. You've said something and you had the last word, Pisces. You might have even gone a little bit too far in what you said or the way in which you said it, because it shut them up somehow. I don't know if it hurt them. I don't know if it made them feel like a fool. I don't know if something you said made them feel humiliated. I think they regret not having said something back to you, or it's more that it's silence. It's like the vow of silence. So there's regret here for keeping silent, not responding, or not saying what they should have said at the time, whatever that is. But is she freeing? Is she tightening the ropes here on the beak? Is she freeing the beak? It's hard to say. It's hard to say if she's going one way or another. But I feel there's some sort of regret here about not being able to express themselves, and it's I think time and isolation and distance away from you has changed their mode of thinking. And for a lot of you, this person might reach out. I mean, that's a different story whether they actually do or not. But I can almost attest to the fact that there's regret here about communication or the way they express themselves. But it's more about what they didn't say, not so much what they did say. And that's where the regret is lying, in where they kept silent, or where they didn't arc up, or where they didn't respond, or where they didn't fight back. That's where that regret is coming from, Pisces. So lack of response or a moment of silence is really this person's biggest regret here. And it may make sense, it may not, but hopefully there is something here that gives you a bit of clarity in regards to what someone around you could be regretting, Pisces. But thank you so much again for tuning in. I do hope this has been helpful.